Welcome to the West Ham Voice. Thank you for joining me. My name is Stel. It's reported that Daniel Kretinsky made a rare visit to the London Stadium when we played Chelsea at the stadium on Saturday in the 1-1 draw. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. Daniel Kretinsky, the Czech billionaire, has invested an awful lot of money in West Ham United. His 27% stake in the club has cost him a considerable amount of money. And of course, many believe that he's bankrolled most of, if not all of, the £160 million that we spent in the summer transfer window. So with the money that he's thrown at the club, there's no reason to suggest that he shouldn't come to see how the club he's invested in is getting on. And one can only wonder what he's making of the current season, where we're battling relegation. Let's face it, there's no denying that we're indeed in a relegation battle, where we're reliant on other clubs to have favourable results in order for us not to drop into the bottom three. Look, in reality, it's still in our hands. We're not at the level yet where it's out of our hands. But as we continue not to win games, we could soon find ourselves in that situation where it is out of our hands. And we can only keep grinding out results and hope that Kretinsky is relatively happy with us staying in the Premier League. Anyway, that aside, apart from seeing how the team is doing on the pitch, what enticed Kretinsky to come and make a rare appearance at West Ham at the weekend? Well, the rumour is that he had a meeting with Lingana. So, who is Lingana, I hear you ask? Lingana is the LLDC CEO, who are in charge of running the Olympic Park and the London Stadium on behalf of the government, or on behalf of the mayor. It is planned that the LLDC will no longer have control of running the Olympic Park or the stadium when it ceases to exist in 2024. So what happens to who may own the stadium will be of great importance to Kretinsky and West Ham United, I dare say. It's been well documented that the club have never really had a willingness to own the stadium outright. Why would they? Why would they want to own a stadium that is hemorrhaging money on a regular basis? However, Karen Brady has ideas, or has had ideas in the past, that she'd like to run the stadium, not necessarily own the stadium. There's a belief that if it was run properly, it could be a good income generator. Look, whilst we feel that the footballing side of West Ham United has never been really run that well, you can't deny that the business end of West Ham has been a tad more successful. But is there a third way? Is there another way to have ownership of the stadium that doesn't necessarily mean West Ham own it, but maybe in the hands of Kretinsky? Look, the government, they don't want to keep a burden on the taxpayer having to subsidise the running costs of the stadium. And I'm sure West Ham would much rather have closer control of who owns the stadium and how it operates. So would Kretinsky buying it outright be the perfect solution all round? Perhaps if he owned it as a business entity, we could probably make, or he could probably make a decent return on it, whilst not having an impact on West Ham and its use of it. In fact, it could probably be a better use by having not only the senior men's team playing there, but also possibly without restriction, having use of the women's team, as well as maybe the academy and development team playing there as well. With Kretinsky's ownership of the stadium, West Ham will have a lot more freedom by not having to abide by the current rules where it's being used for athletics and other things that aren't really that sort of money making. Also, it could ultimately lead to the redevelopment of the stadium into a permanent football stadium. Could it be done without having to tear it down to start again? Many experts predict that's the only way to have a truly footballing stadium to be there. But I doubt Kretinsky will want to spend even more money on having to convert the stadium into something else. But what his future plans are for West Ham are sort of still unknown. We hear the conflicting stories that on one hand, he will never sell his stake in Sparta Prague to become the overall owner of West Ham United, and that he only sees West Ham as an investment. But it's only a good investment, I guess, if it stays in the Premier League, of course. Then, on the other hand, he may see true potential in West Ham by buying the club outright and also buying the stadium and turning it into a truly footballing powerhouse that could maybe compete with the likes of Man United, Man City, Liverpool, and Chelsea. Is that at all possible, even under Kretinsky's money? We've heard many stories, haven't we, as to other people being interested in West Ham. Of course, there's the rumours of the Qataris flooding money into the area where they're buying land all around the stadium, and of course, there's also Sir Jim Ratcliffe, who wants to buy Man United, but he set a price on that, and if he doesn't get it, he may well set his sights on buying West Ham United. Now, look, Kretinsky will definitely make a tidy profit if West Ham was sold. That's without doubt. But until that time, would he risk allowing others to own the stadium itself once the LLDC ceases to exist? Now, I don't know what he would have to pay to buy the stadium outright, but I would imagine it will be the equivalent of a small change in his back pocket. Kretinsky is also in a great position to sort out the stadium naming rights, which has been a massive challenge for the LLDC over the years. He has investments in so many companies that it will make good sound business sense for one of the companies that he owns to be sponsors of the stadium. Of course, the rumours will continue as the clock ticks down on the tax burden that overshadows the Sullivan and Gold family as to whether they're going to sell up in April or not. All roads seem to lead to Kretinsky. Could he take over the whole club? It's possible. He has an option to buy if Sullivan and the Gold family receive a hefty sum for their shares, then it might be on. But I still don't think Kretinsky will buy the club outright, even if he does buy the stadium. There's no reason to suggest that the two separate entities, the club and the stadium, necessarily have to be entwined just yet.